Welcome, friends, to another exciting episode of A VGM Journey. And I'm your host, The Messenger. The track that we're playing in this week's show is Friday Night from the game Yakuza 0, and that was composed by Kensuke Inage and Yoshihiro Arai. We've got some really good tracks for you guys this week, and spoilers, there's a lot of really good Sega Genesis stuff on this episode, and also quite a bit of requests as well. And I say that we kick things off with a request from Meatbug, and they wanted me to play the track Holocaust from the game The Terminator, and that was composed by Matt Furniss. The track that you just heard, that was Holocaust from the game The Terminator. That was composed by Matt Furniss, and this was requested by Meatbug. So thank you, Meatbug, for that track. I think I got Meatbug figured out, and that he really likes Matt Furniss. I know he's never really come out and said that, but based off of a couple requests from him, I think it's a safe bet to say that he really likes Matt Furniss. And this track, I mean, it's got that classic Matt Furniss sound to it. It's rockin', and it also has kind of this, I would best describe as a fat, twangy sound to it. And it just hits you in the face with it, just full of confidence. It definitely has a sound very similar to his soundtrack for Pugsy, but just a whole lot more rocking. And I really enjoyed that track. So I just want to say once again, thank you for that request, Meatbug. We're going to move on to another Genesis classic. And this request was coming from Utopia Nemo. And they wanted me to play Transylvania from the game Quackshot. And that was composed by Shigenori Kamiya. that spooky track that you just listened to, that was Transylvania from the game Quackshot. It was composed by Shigenori Kamiya, and this was requested by Utopia Nemo. So thank you, Utopia Nemo, for that request. This was a really good track, and this kind of showcases one of the strengths of the FM sound font of the Sega Genesis slash Sega Mega Drive. So I always thought it did rocking music really well. And I also think that the synth sounds go really well with more atmospheric slash spooky kind of sounds. And this was a really good track for the latter. And what's kind of weird is that Quackshot was one of those Disney games for the Sega Genesis that Sega themselves were directly involved with. And from my understanding, it's a pretty good game, but it doesn't get nearly as much recognition as Castle of Illusion. But it's got a pretty solid gameplay, and the soundtrack, especially with this track, is really good. So I just want to say, once again, thank you, Utopia Nemo, for that request. We're going to break format with this next request, because it is way too good not to play. And this is coming from Chris Murray. He wanted me to play the track Between Heaven and Earth, the Inferno version from the game Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. And this track was originally composed by Takeru Kanazaki, and this arrangement was done by Hiromu Akaba, Asami Mitake, Ayako Toyoda, and Yuki Matsumura. That track that you just heard, that was Between Heaven and Earth, the Inferno version from Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. And this was originally composed by Takeru Kanazaki, and this arrangement was done by Hiromu Akaba, Asami Mitake, Ayako Toyoda, and Yuki Matsumura. And this was also requested by Chris Murray. So thank you, Chris, for that request. This was pretty wow. I mean, I thought the original was really good, but this takes it up a whole new level. This was pretty unexpected. But then again, I really shouldn't have been surprised because Chris requested this. Now, I haven't really delved into this game just because I'm not really too big into Fire Emblem. But if it's anything like Hyrule Warriors, then it's gotta be a real good time. And I'm sure that the rest of the soundtrack is probably going to take from Fire Emblem Three Houses and just really rock out with those tracks. And I'm sure there's going to be those of you that are not too happy with me playing this track in the middle of an episode where it seems like it's been pretty heavy on the Sega Genesis music, but this was way too good to pass. And I want to say thank you, Chris, for that request. And as promised, I will dial it back to a Sega Genesis track and play this track from Gunstar Heroes. The track is Empire, The Final Assault, and this was composed by Kazuo Hanzawa. That track that you just heard, that was Empire, The Final Assault from the game Gunstar Heroes, and that was composed by Kazuo Hanzawa. And that's going to just about do it for the show this week. If you like what you've been listening to, have your friends check out the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever podcatching service that you can think of. I'm more than likely going to be on there. You can email the show at vgmjourney@yahoo.com. And you could also check us out on Twitter at VGMJourney. We also have a Discord server for the show which I will provide a link for that in the show notes, where you could hang out with your fellow VGM journeymen and talk about games, music, cool art, whatever you want to talk about. And just like every show, we're going to play things out with one more track. And the track is Silvery Light of the Moon, the normal ending theme from Thunder Force 4, aka Lightning Force. And that was composed by Toshiharu Yamanishi, Takeshita Yoshida, and Tomomi Otani. Have a good week, everyone.